I got everything in frame for this video. Isn't that nice? We got a little new stand. It's not a stand. If only you could see what's holding this up or the bloopers from setting this up. Anyways, these are the teams that lost in the play-in round, so technically they don't make the playoffs. Even though the stats count as playoff stats, it makes sense to someone, not me. We'll start with the Rangers. I am wearing my Panarin jersey, the away jersey. Beautiful jersey. For the regular season, the Rangers went 37-28-5 with 79 points and finished 7th in the Metro. But they were one of the hottest teams at the time. Like, I don't know. I know that now that Carolina swept them, I don't think people realize how hot the Rangers were. I mean, they had that ridiculous comeback against the Canadiens. They almost did it against the Oilers, too. Mika had his 5-goal game. I'm pretty sure Tony DeAngelo had a 5-point game. I know he scored a hat trick. I know he had at least one assist in that game, too. They were ridiculous. Like, they were 7th in the Metro, but, like, they were probably going to make the playoffs type of deal. So, unfortunate how their season ended up because of the restart. Leading scorer was Artemi Panarin with 32 goals, 63 assists for 95 points. A Hart finalist, not the only one on this list. I know I am a fan of the Rangers. I don't know if you can tell, but I do think he earned that. If it's not him, it's got to be Nathan MacKinnon. Draisaitl has the most points, and that's undeniable, but in terms of team impact, it's got to be Panarin. I mean, I can't see it not being him. The best goalie for the Rangers was Georgiev. Shesterkin was their best goalie, but he didn't play enough games. That's why I didn't put him on here. He only played 12 games before the pause, and he only played one playoff game, so he's not on this board. But Igor Shesterkin is really good. So it's Georgiev who went 17-14-2 with a .910 save percentage. Then we hit the pause. They go to the play-in where they went 0-3. Their leading scorer is tied between Kreider, Zibanejad, and Panarin at 1-1-2. 1 goal, 1 assist for 2 points. And Strome, who went 0 goals, 2 assists for 2 points. Their best goalie was Henrik Lundqvist, who went 0-2 with a .901 save percentage. Shesterkin scored game 3. He had a .90 save percentage and 1 loss, obviously. The Rangers have the first overall pick in the draft after having the second last year and have about $17 million in cap space, according to the website I looked up. The Rangers are set. As a fan of the Rangers, I'm very happy with this season. Obviously, the play-in didn't go the way I was I wasn't happy with that, but now we have Lafreniere, and I'm so excited for that. Goaltending is set. Forward core is pretty much there. We do need a second line center. I don't really think Strome is the guy, but Zibanejad's great. I like Hedl. Hedel's starting to be better. Buchnevich is great, but I think he might be on the trade block. Foss is the same thing. Panarin's obviously amazing. I like Julian Gauthier. I like what I saw from him. And then obviously Shesterkin in net. I think Lundqvist gets 1 more year. I think they're going to go 1 more year. I know that's not the thing that's not in the news right now. I think we'll probably trade Georgiev at the draft and they give Hank 1 more year because he looked pretty deep. Like, I don't blame the play and loss on Hank. I know a lot of people want to. He did have the Svechnikov when he scored his hat trick in game 2. He didn't look the best, but I don't think it really is not his fault. Watch those games. The defense is non-existent. That's the Rangers' biggest issue, a second line center and defense. Trouba's starting to find his way, but I don't see it coming from him, especially since he was playing with Shea and they couldn't do anything with them, so not seeing it. Fox and Lindgren are great. Tony DeAngelo is great, but he could probably get traded because I feel like we have too many offensive defensemen. But I do like the direction the Rangers are going. I think within the next 5 years, this is a cup team. So we'll see how poorly that ages in a couple years. Pittsburgh Penguins. I'm a Pennsylvania native, but I've always been a Rangers fan, so it's sad. Because I did watch some of their prospects growing up. I think this is the end of the Pittsburgh reign. They're going to have that team where it's kind of like Detroit, where they'll have that record of making the playoffs, but they're going to be one and done. On the regular season, they went 40, 23, and 6 for 86 points to finish third in the Metro. The leading scorer in the regular season was Evgeny Malkin with 25 goals, 49 assists, and 74 points. Best goalie was Murray, who's 20, 11, and 5 with a .89 save percentage. In the play-in, they went 1 for 3 against Montreal, who just got eliminated tonight against Philly, which disappointing. Their leading scorer in the play-in was a tie between Crosby, Russ, and Gensel. Crosby with 2 goals and assists for 3 points. Russ and Gensel each with a goal and a pair of assists. Their best goalie was Murray, who went 1-2 with a .914 save percentage. They're the 15th overall pick in the draft and about $13 million in cap space. Yeah, it's also they're keeping Jack Johnson, so like, oops. Yeah, I don't see it from Pittsburgh anymore. Malkin really, he stepped up in the regular season to an extent, but with this team is very different without Crosby. I like the Zucker trade, but I don't see it. I don't see Pittsburgh being that team anymore. Like, think about it this way: they lost to the Caps. They then got swept by the Islanders. Well, I think they're 1-9 in their last 10 playoff games. I'm pretty sure I said that in a video earlier on my Instagram. Check that out if you want to see the original videos at Garrison5505, linked in one of the first videos. Getting better at this, don't you see? But they don't have the money to make moves in free agency, and I'm not going to speculate on free agency because of the flat cap. I have no idea how they're going to do it. They don't have a they don't have an early enough draft pick to make a huge change. Their prospects aren't that great either, and they have an aging core. So, will they miss the playoffs next year? No. I don't think a team with Crosby, Malkin, Hornquist, who might get moved apparently, Gensel, I don't think that they can miss the playoffs with this good of a team. But at the same time, I don't think they'll make an impact in the playoffs. I mean, they're going to kind of be filling that Minnesota role or the Detroit role until recently, where it's like one and done. We squeaked in round 2 and now we're out. Like, they're not going to do anything. It's unfortunate, but at the same time, it's kind of nice. I like to see, we're seeing this in the NFL too, which eventually when I start covering the NFL games, I'll talk about how we're seeing like the old guard of like all these old dynasties start to show the cracks. It's kind of nice to see that new wave. So I'll talk about that more later on. Florida, very disappointing playoff run here. I wanted to see more from Florida, especially since I keep looking at the expansion rumors to Houston, maybe to Quebec City. I saw another California team on the list. If they're not going to do another expansion team, which I don't think they can with Seattle on the way, if they're going to move any team, it's probably going to be Florida because they won't give up on Arizona. It's just not going to happen, guys. And their core is actually nice. I really do like Arizona right now. I know they got embarrassed by Colorado, but just give them a minute. Florida, though, it's tough. They went 35, 26, and 8 for 78 points in the regular season. They finished 4th in the Atlantic. Their leading scorer was Jonathan Huberdeau, who had 23 goals, 55 assists for 78 points. Their best goalie was Sergei Bobrovsky, who went 23, 14, and 6 for a .900 save percentage. Bobrovsky did not live up to that contract, and it's probably the biggest issue with Florida right now. They have a good offense. Their defense could use some work, but it's not bad. And they were expecting Bobrovsky to be that Vezina caliber goalie to just edge him out so that he could steal a couple games here and there, and he just wasn't that goalie at all. In the play-in, they went 1-3 against the Islanders. Their leading scorer was Barkov, who went 1 goal, 3 assists for 4 points. Their best goalie was Bobrovsky, who went 1-3 with a .901 save percentage. They had the 12th overall pick and about $32 million in cap space. I don't even know what to say because I thought that this Florida team was going to make the playoffs before COVID, and I did really like their trajectory. They came out flat against the Islanders, and the Islanders played their boring style of hockey, and they did it better. They did win Game 3, which was nice. They didn't get swept, but Bobrovsky didn't show up for Game 5. Or not 5. 5. I don't know how to count. And it's unfortunate because now all their money is tied up in Bobrovsky. They're one of their better scorers on the power play, and just in general, Mike Hoffman's probably going to leave the team. And you got to feel for Barkov and Huberdeau. Like, go back a couple years, and if they don't trade Marchessault and Smith to Vegas, I don't know, they could be looking pretty nice right now, but they're on the GM side a mess. Coaching wise, they're okay. Like, they're coaching, I like their coach, but they got to figure it out. They're kind of like, they're almost at Buffalo levels. They're not as bad as Buffalo, not nearly as bad, but they're in that like territory. It's unfortunate. It really is. There's too many talented players on Florida for them to be performing the way they are. So going forward, I hope they can make a playoff push next year, but I don't see it. There's a lot of competition in the East right now. And I could see Florida being edged out. Toronto. Ooh, Toronto. My old friend Toronto. This is embarrassing. The Toronto Maple Leafs are embarrassing. Wow. 36, 25, and 9 for 81 points. They finished third in the Atlantic. Their leading scorer was Austin Matthews, who had 47 goals, 33 assists for 80 points. Their best goalie was Anderson, who went 29, 13, 7th, and .909 save percentage. In the play-in, they go 2-2-1. Their leading scorer was Matthews, had 2 goals, 4 assists, and 6 points. Their best goalie was Anderson, went 2-2-1, the .936 save percentage. No pick in the first round, but 10 picks throughout the draft. About $11 million in cap space. Like it matters. This team, oh God, Toronto. Jesus, the amount of money they have in players in just their top 6 is too much, first of all. Second of all, they're not doing anything. I mean, this team is pretty much Austin Matthews. That's it. They're Austin Matthews. They are Austin Matthews with an underperforming William Nylander, Mitch Marner, who gets criticized way too much, to be honest. But again, he's being paid to an amount where I also think it's kind of fair. So I feel like the only players that I really think Toronto needs to figure out they got to blow it up, because how much it's painful. It is. I mean, 2 Game 7s to Boston, and now this to Columbus, and not to put anything against Columbus, but just there's no excuse for this. It's a joke. It's a joke. I could see Toronto missing the playoffs next year. Honestly, they cannot keep doing this. It's bad. So for the East, kind of sad. The Rangers are on that upward trajectory. Everybody else kind of, I'd say Florida's kind of plateauing. Pittsburgh and Toronto on that downward, though. Speaking of downward, Nashville. In the regular season, they go 35, 26, and 8 for 78 points. Finished 5th in the Central. Their leading goal scorer was leading scorer, I should say, just in general, was Roman Josi with 16 goals, 49 assists, and 65 points. A Norris Trophy finalist. Their best goalie was Pekka Rinne, who goes 18, 14, and 4 with a .895 save percentage, which is, that's tough. Play-in, they went 1-3 against the Arizona Coyotes. Their leading scorer was a tie between Forsberg and Johansson. Forsberg with 3 goals, 2 assists, and 5 points. Johansson with 1 goal, 4 assists with 5 points as well. Their goalie was Josi Saros, who went 1-3 with a .895 save percentage, which is consistent between both goalies. Nashville, ever since their cup run, have been going down. It's just, it's unfortunate. Again, it's just, I feel like I'm just saying the same thing. It's just, you're watching the teams that were good fall apart. And that's what it is for Nashville. They have no one, like, besides Forsberg. Like, they have Duchesne, but Duchesne's not producing at a level that he needs to be. Yossi's fine, but the defense is kind of falling apart. Rene's showing his age, and it's just like, who steps up? I don't see it. I know Nashville's coach was like, well, we played pretty okay. Like, we'll see. They're probably just trying to reload. I don't think they can. They've been trying to reload since their failed cup run, and what was that? That was 3 years ago now. And so for 3 years they were in the playoffs. Second year they go out to, I want to say the Sharks, right? Sharks. Oh no, they played Winnipeg. Winnipeg beat them the year, and in round 2. Then they go out to Dallas, and now they don't even make the playoffs. Round 2, a round 1, and then don't even make it. I don't know. I mean, I think the smart choice is to get what you can for the players that you need to get rid of and start the rebuild, because as we've seen with Colorado and the Rangers, if you do it at the right time, your rebuild's not that painful and it's not that long. So, good luck, Nashville. Winnipeg, they could have went far. They really could have in the play-in, but we'll get to that. They went 37-28-6 for 80 points in the regular season. They finished 4th in the Central. Their leading scorer was tied between Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele. Connor had 38 goals, 35 assists for 73 points. Scheifele, with the same total, has 29 goals and 44 assists. Their best goalie was Connor Hellebuck, a Vezina finalist, who went 31-21-5 with a .922 save percentage. In the play-in, they went 1-3, with their leading goal scorer being I don't know why I keep saying goal scorer. The leading scorer being Kyle Lowry with a 1 goal, 2 assists for 3 points. Hellebuck being the goalie went 1 for 3 with a .904. They're the 10th overall pick, and they have about $16 million in cap space. Winnipeg deserved better. They were too injured. The whole season they were ravaged with injuries, and the same thing happened in the play-in. And that's hockey. I mean, there's just nothing you can do about it. It sucks, but Winnipeg was a conference finalist against Vegas only 3 years ago now, or 2. I don't know how time works. It's weird. It's because 2020 happened. It feels like I've aged like 6 years, and it's only been like 4 months all in the same time. It's weird. But yeah, Winnipeg, they deserve better this season, and it just didn't happen because of injuries. So I think they'll be fine for next year. I really do. So that's that. Minnesota finally, I like this Minnesota team. I'm excited for their future. They went 35-27-7 for 77 points, 6th in the Central. The leading scorer was Kevin Fiala, who, wow, was good this year. He had 23 goals, 31 assists for 54 points. Their best goalie was Alex Stalock, who went 20-11-4 for a .910 save percentage. In the play-in, I cannot speak. I'm sorry. I really am. They would lose to the Canucks. Their best scorer was Eric Stahl, who had 1 goal, 4 assists, and 5 points. Their goalie was Stalock, who went 1-3 with a .89 save percentage. They have the 9th overall pick and $16 million cap space. Minnesota might finally be out of their purgatory where they can either just make the playoffs and just get crushed. They're never bad enough to get a good pick, and they're never good enough to go far. They showed a lot this year, though. I liked the way Minnesota was playing. I liked the way that Kevin Fiala was playing. I like Stalock in net. Zuccarello's in Minnesota, which makes me happy as a Rangers fan, and he's playing pretty fine. I liked, who else is in there? I'm having it's late now. It's 4 a.m. My brain is not working. Basically, Minnesota might finally be getting over the hump. At least that's how I feel. I like this core. I like the coach. I think they can push further along next year. So I'm happy with Minnesota. I want to start saying more positive things. I like Minnesota. Edmonton, the playoffs just hate you, Edmonton. They do not want you there. In the regular season, they went 37-25-9 for 83 points. They finished 2nd in the Pacific. Their leading scorer was Leon Draisaitl, who had 43 goals, 67 assists for 110 points, who is also a Hart finalist. Their goalie was Smith, who had 19 wins, 12 losses and 16 overtime losses with a .902 save percentage. The play-in, they went 1-4, the leading scorer being Connor McDavid, who had 5 goals for assists and 9 for a total of 9 points. Their goalie was Koskinen, who went 1-2-0 for a .889 save percentage. They had the 14th overall pick and about $10 million in cap space. I was gonna try and say some nice things about Edmonton, but the problem is they're 3 players. They're Connor McDavid, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and Leon Draisaitl. That is it. And I think that was really apparent when they played Chicago because they needed depth scoring and it just wasn't there. They really don't have a strong defense. I mean, Darnell Nurse is pretty nice, but who else? Their offense comes from exclusively those 3 guys. Tyler Ennis was fine, but he's like a bottom 6 in my opinion. James Neal, also a bottom 6 at this point. I think people got baited by that year he had in Vegas. A lot of teams got baited by Vegas in that. So Edmonton, they're a bit of a mess, but they're talented enough to cover it up. The thing is, though, they lost. So when you lose, your flaws are more apparent, and they're pretty apparent that even goaltending is a problem. I do think Koskinen going forward will be the goal. I think he's the better goalie between him and Smith, so Koskinen will probably end up with more minutes next year. They need to make some moves. They need a better blue line, and they need some depth, which is possible. They can do that with their draft pick. They have some prospects they can pull up with $10 million in cap space and this weird free agency. I don't know. There is some apparently Toronto and Edmonton are linked to some trades, so keep an eye out for that. But again, I don't see I don't think Edmonton's gonna drop. The West is fine. They'll do fine in the West, but there are issues. There are definitely some issues. So, in conclusion, the Rangers, the Panthers, the Jets, the Wild, and the Oilers, I like where they're headed. Winnipeg's only issue is their injuries. Actually, no, not Florida. I'm sorry. I don't know why I put Florida. The Rangers, the Jets, the Wild, and the Oilers are on that upward trajectory. I like where they're headed. They just got to get rid of injuries. They just need to keep chugging along with their rebuild. Same with the Rangers. Edmonton needs depth in blue line. Pittsburgh, Nashville need to commit to the rebuild. Toronto's got to figure out their issues with their core, because the core is talented. They can't get anything out of them. And Florida, be relevant, get some fans, and that's all I got for this video. If you liked, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it.